What's up? What's up? This is Real Talk, Real People. And we got an interesting one today. Now, now, there was a situation. There was a situation. It turns out that I received a very interesting voicemail. Hope y'all can hear this. I'm gonna play. It's gonna be really low. I'm gonna try to play this voicemail. I received the voicemail. It was 1 minute and 16 seconds. I'm gonna try to play this. And I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it, but I was informed of a very interesting situation, very interesting development, and I wanted to go into that. Now, as the title suggests, Lil Uzi World, is he buying a planet? Or title suggests something else, a split perspective. Okay. So what we're gonna do? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Come up in. I'm gonna get my tags together, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. Got a lot of I got a lot of research. Here. You know me. You know how I do. So yeah, we're gonna look into the research. I didn't know you could buy a planet. Real talk. The idea of being able to buy a planet seems insane to me. It's insane. It is insane. But we're gonna look at what the deal is with it. We're gonna look at the United Nations and the United Nations treaties and principles on outer space. We're gonna look into that, and we're gonna look into. Let me see here. We're gonna look at the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. We get our answer if one can truly own a planet. Here we go. There it is. I found it. Cool. It's not that long either. All right, so we got everything we need, and I hope my computer can take all this. Pretty sure it can. Let me get rid of that there, and then let's go ahead and let me do this. This is gonna be really interesting. No caparoni. This is gonna be interesting. Don't forget to share this. No. You ain't gonna do all that. Let me see here. Let's get these tags together, and then we're gonna get going. Let me get my tag together. There we go. Boom, boom. There it is. Boom. All right, I don't own. Oh, of course, fair use. I don't own any of this music that played in the beginning. I don't. What was the name of it called again? Yeah. 7B. Really interesting idea, really interesting concept here. And like I said, I'm going to look at it from a split perspective. I'm going to look at it from a globalist perspective, and I'm going to look at it from a flat Earth perspective. What? Yeah, we're going to look at it and the implications of such a declaration. Such a declaration. We'll look at the tweets. We'll look at everything. This is going to be comprehensive as hell. For real. For real. Oh. See here. And boom. What else? What else? Okay, I think that's enough tags. I think we're good. I think we're good. All right, we'll save that. Boom. Okay, we can get started now. All right, I will put a timestamp in the comments when this is over to timestamp this moment right here. And let me go ahead and the comment boom when this is over. Stop it. There we go. There we go. All right, and boom. Do I even need to do this? I don't. Y'all don't want to see my mug, right? Y'all don't want to see my mug. It ain't about me. Y'all don't want to see my mug, right? I don't want to see that, man. It ain't about me, man. Okay. Let's get the likes up, or I'm ending the stream. No, I'm playing. All right. So just about 9 minutes and 15 seconds in. That'll be the time mark. And then after I'm done with the presentation, if anyone wants to come up, they surely can. All right. So let's screen share. I got too much. Why not? Cool. All right. So I'm going to get rid of my little thing here. Go boom. We're just going to go straight full page on them. All right. So let's start with the voicemail. Let me see if y'all can hear this.
The opinion.
All right, let's start.
Because you are a very wise individual, I value the opinion of Joseph Parker as well as the opinion of Carter Drew. Those opinions I know don't come with any malice. It's unbiased and it's educational. Okay. So with that, I would like to if it is inhabited, um, what if they find out that Little Uzi bought them? Like if there's something to be bought, that deals the Earth's demise right there, in my opinion. So, just let me know what you think, man. Let me know what you think.
Okay. So there it is. That was the summons. That was the contract. So he thought he was going to get a portion of a stream. I'm gonna make it the whole entire stream. You about to go in on it, okay? Shout out to Twisted. So we'll go ahead and read a couple articles here. We'll go into the mechanics of buying a planet. Can you buy a planet? We'll see what the United Nations Treaty say about that. We'll see what the Treaty of 1967 says about that. And then I will show you where you can buy or purchase planets and or acreage on planets. So everything you want to learn about a planet or how to get you a little piece of the pie, I'm gonna get you there. But you may or may not be into it by the time we get done with it. So we'll have to see. Not full page. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so here we go. And I can make this bigger if you guys want it. I'll read this here for the record. Lil Uzi Vert reveals he is purchasing a planet, July 22nd, 2021, written by Mira B. If it's not one thing about Lil Uzi Vert, the rapper has proven himself to be very spontaneous, from dropping unexpected albums to getting a 24 million pink diamond implanted in his head to purchasing a planet. The rapper never fails to keep his fans in for a surprise. Let me do this. I'm gonna give y'all the best audio quality. Let me do that in audio. Perfect. Okay, there it is. All right, that's perfect. Okay. All right, switch the audio up. All right. Apparently, Lil Uzi Vert is now on the verge of becoming the very first human to legally own a planet. Apparently, at Lil Uzi Vert owns this planet. Just a heads up, said the girlfriend of Elon Musk over a picture of a planet outside the solar system called WASP 127b. Lil Uzi responds back to the tweet showing that he's actually serious about making the historical purchase. I tried to surprise everyone. that's my Uzi impression. Um, he replied, "Still working on it." Yeah. Documentation almost complete for Lil Uzi Vert to legally claim WASP 127b. This is huge. First human to legally own a planet, Grimes responded. Grimes, girlfriend of Elon Musk, and Uzi seem to be good friends after two previously discussed plans to get brain chips by 2022 on Twitter. Let's aim for chips by 2022. It's an experimental surgery, but if it succeeds, we'll have the knowledge of the gods. Ha ha ha, ha, Grimes wrote. Okay, yeah. I threw the yeah in there. I will call you for more detail. The Eternal Atake rapper responded. Uzi is by far the most unpredictable rapper when it comes to his purchases. What do you think the rapper will have on his radar next to buy? I'm ready. When are we doing it? These are the tweets about getting the brain chips. And then this Elon Musk girlfriend, which, you know, AI. Apparently, Lil Uzi Vert owns this planet. Just a heads up. This WASP 127 giant exoplanet, 1.4 times larger than Jupiter orbiting a yellow dwarf star like ours. Now, here's my thing. This is an artist rendering of the planet. I want you guys to be aware of something very interesting. Anytime you've ever seen a planet, it's always been a CGI or artist rendering. There's actually no pictures of these planets. I mean that. Whether you're looking at Mars, whether you're looking at Jupiter, Saturn, all those other things, these are artist renderings, right? A lot of it, these aren't what these planets truly look like. There's lens filters, there's all these other things on it. So don't let that fool you. So this is just an artist rendering of what Lil Uzi's planet looks like. It does look pretty tight, no cap. I'm not even gonna lie, it does look pretty tight.
I was looking. Let's get a bigger look, a nicer look. Okay, there we go. Very ethereal looking, don't it? This is just artist rendering, but very ethereal looking. So let's find out more about this planet. There's another article about him buying the planet, but let's talk about this. So he bought this planet, right? He bought this planet, and this is I'm gonna go over what the big deal is with this planet. He bought this planet. Now I know Lil Uzi Vert's mad right now. I'd be mad. This was supposed to be a surprise. He was supposed to be able to talk to his fans. He was supposed to be like, "Hey, I guarantee you, he had such a grandiose thing. He might have done it at a concert. He might have did it on a video. He might have put it in a music video. He had planned to reveal to his people, his fans, that he bought a planet. Here comes Elon Musk's girlfriend spoiling the surprise. Let's look at these tweets. He's acting all cool about. I bet you he's tight as fuck right now. Excuse my language, but I think we're more than enough. We're more than enough into this, so I can let it fly. So this was July 22nd, 12:31 a.m. Documentation almost complete for Lil Uzi Vert to legally claim WASP 127B. This is huge. First human to legally own a planet. I tried to surprise everyone. Still working on it. Neuralink. She spoiled the surprise. Who the fuck does she think she is? Spoiling the surprise. She couldn't keep her mouth shut. I mean, leave it to a bit. Leave it to a bit. Okay? Leave it to a bit. This chick, Elon Musk's girlfriend, wants to spoil it. I don't even see an apology here. Why would she not apologize for that? That's effed up. Trust me, if I bought a planet and I'm just trying to get the perfect moment out to be like, yo, I bought a planet to tell all my people, and this chick, this elven chick, this nerd, nothing wrong with nerds. Nerd pussy good. But this nerd wants to go out and just tweet my purchase. That's crazy. I think she needs to apologize. Grimes, if you're listening, I think you need to apologize. If you hear this, you need to apologize. Like that's cold. If I bought a planet, I don't care who you are. If you buy a planet, you want to be the one to announce that. So I thought that was cold. That was messed up. But let's see what's so special about WASP 127B. This is an article written in 2018 by Zion Gudim. 3-minute read, not too long. WASP 127b, the strangest exoplanet ever found. Of course. Exactly. My boy said, "Hey, yo, I bought a planet." See, that's how, even if that's all he wanted to do, let him do that. Why would you do that? That's very classless. Very, very classless. All right, so here's Wasp, another look. Very ethereal, very eternal atake, color scheme wise. Um, very interesting. I mean, it's a very beautiful planet, honestly. Thousands of exoplanets have now been discovered and analyzed by astronomers on Earth, but this one might just be the strangest one yet. Of course, Uzi, of course. Astronomers have detected evidence of large quantities of multiple metals and possibly even water in a gaseous giant exoplanet. Interesting. Metals in a gas planet and water. Well, water maybe, but discovered in 2016, WASP 127b is the most unique worlds ever found among thousands of exoplanets already cataloged. Now, as international team of astronomers, new findings make WASP 127b an even rare cosmological case. WASP 127b exoplanet, a lightweight gas giant. Okay, and of course, we're going from a globe view on this. WASP 127b orbits WASP 127, a K type star, aka a orange dwarf star, which lies in the constellation of Virgo. Virgo. So, from all my astrology people, uh, this is a Virgo based planet. So, for my astrology people, chime in the comments. What's this? What does this mean? What does it mean for this planet to be within the star which lies in the constellation of Virgo, about 200 light years away from Earth? What does that mean, y'all? I might have to, if anyone is an astrologer, I might need y'all to come on and let me know what the significance of that is. The WASP 127b is a gas giant. It bears resemblance neither to a gaseous planet in our solar system or other gaseous exoplanets known to date. This exoplanet is so close to its home star that it completes an orbit around it in just a little over 4 days, and the temperature surpasses 1,000 degrees Celsius. Here's a YouTube video on it. It's only 22 seconds, just showing the orbit. So this can go around its sun in 4 days, and it's a gas planet. So you think to be that close to the sun, the type of radiation on that might actually make it explode, but not 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 the case. What distinguishes WASP 127b or Uzi World? Maybe we'll call it Uzi World. We'll call WASP 127b Uzi World. What distinguishes Uzi World from other planets is its density. While 1.4 times bigger than Jupiter, it only has a fifth of Jupiter's mass, which makes it the least dense exoplanet ever discovered. The low density on this planet's atmosphere comes with a high content of multiple metals and some water to boot. Researchers at University of Cambridge, UPC UK, and the Instituto de Astrofísica de Canarias, IC in Spain, have detected strong signatures of alkali metals in the WASP 127b atmosphere. However, it is an unlikely place to find metals and water. To observe 127b, the UPC and IAC teams used the Gran Telescopio Canarias, a giant telescope installed in the island of La Palma in Spain. Researchers said WASP 127b has a partly clear sky and its atmosphere rich in lithium, sodium, potassium, and possibly water. Interesting. While this detection is not statistically significant as water features are weak in the visible range, our data indicates additional observation in the near infrared should be able to detect it. They also believe the presence of lithium in the ground telescope ability to detect the major finding of their study. The presence of lithium is important to understand the evolutionary history of planetary systems and can shed light on mechanisms of planet formation. The detection of trace elements such as lithium in a planetary atmosphere is a major breakthrough and motivates new follow-up observations and detailed theoretical modeling to corroborate the findings. Blah 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 blah. The detection of lithium suggests that the host star, WASP 127, could be a red giant star or a supernova having enriched the cloud material from which this system originated. Although as a gaseous world, WASP 127b can't sustain complex life forms, its atmosphere would hold elements suitable for extremophiles. WASP 127b takes the notion of extreme worlds to a whole new level. So yeah, that's the planet. That's Uzi World that Lil Uzi Vert purchased. Don't forget, I'll leave a link to all this stuff in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description when it's done. So yeah, that's what he bought. Uzi bought that. So poo poo on Grimes for spoiling the surprise. You cold for that, Shawty. You cold. Uzi, pretty happy. We await our invitation to the planet warming party. Um, Now, they're not talking about the price of this planet. And let's kind of go ahead and segue into buying a planet. So I even got a Groupon for Mars. I'll go into all of that. Excuse me. But let's talk about the efficacy of buying a planet, or can it be done? Let's look at the United Nations treaties as well as a couple other things. So we'll look at the official words here. So let's go ahead and look at the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, and then we'll look at the more up-to-date version. And this is only 2 pages. So let's see what if you can a person can buy a planet. So Treaty of Principles Governing Activities of States and Exploration and Use of Outer Space, including the Moon and other celestial bodies. Open on signature of Moscow, London, and Washington on January 27, 1967. The state parties to this treaty, inspired by the great prospect opening up before mankind as a result of man's entry into outer space, recognizing the common interest of all mankind in the progress of exploration and use of outer space of the peaceful purpose, believing that the exploration and use of outer space should be carried on for the benefit of all peoples, irrespective of degree of economic and scientific development, desiring to contribute to the broad international cooperation in scientific as well as the legal aspects of exploration, use of outer space for peaceful purposes, believing that such a cooperation will contribute to the development of a mutual understanding and strengthening of friendly relations between states and people. Recalling Resolution 1962 entitled Declaration of Legal Principles Governing Activity of States in the Exploration of and Use of Outer Space, which was adopted unanimously by the United Nations General Assembly in 1963. Recalling Resolution 1884, interesting, calling upon states to refrain from placing in orbit the Earth, in orbit around the Earth, objects carrying nuclear weapons or any other kinds of weapons of mass destruction, or installing such weapons on celestial bodies, aka if you believe that the moon is within the firmament, or you can reach the moon, putting nukes or weapons on the moon. This was adopted unanimously by United Nations General Assembly in 1963. Taking account of United Nations General Assembly Resolution 110 of 3rd of November 1947, which condemned propaganda designed to likely provoke and encourage any threat to the peace of breach of peace or act of aggression, considering the aforementioned resolution inexplicable to outer space. Convinced that a treaty of principles governing the activities of states and the exploration and use of outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, will further the purpose and principles of the Charter of the United Nations, have agreed to the following. I know that was a lot of jargon, but stick with me. Exploration and use of outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, shall be carried out for the benefit and interest of all countries, irrespective of their degree of scientific or economic development. It shall be the province of all mankind, meaning um, you should be able to, anybody should be able to explore these. And any benefits that come from any of these planets, asteroids, stuff like that, celestial bodies should be given to all peoples of the earth for the economic scientific development of all peoples. So that right there, Article 1 tells you is for everybody. Outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, shall be free of exploration and use by all states without discrimination of any kind on basis of equality in accordance with international law, and there shall be free access to all areas of celestial bodies. There shall be freedom of scientific investigation in outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, and states shall facilitate and encourage international cooperation in such investigations. So, believe it or not, the final frontier, or the next frontier, or the most peaceful frontier, is actually outer space. All countries agree to work together and not screw each other in outer space. Not like that, but not try to get over on each other. It's literally uh, a, a ceasefire. Like, the most peaceful place on Earth is off Earth. It's in space. Article 2. Outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, is not subject to a national appropriation by claim of sovereignty, by means of use or occupation, or by any other means. There we go. Article 2 clearly states again, outer space, including the moon or other celestial bodies, is not subject to national appropriation by claim of sovereignty, by means of use or occupation. No one country, no one state, and again, a state and a country and a government are interchangeable here. Interchangeable. No one state or so if the United States got to the moon first, they can't claim the moon. Russia got to Mars first, Russia can't claim Mars. If Elon Musk get to Mars first, he can't claim Mars per the United Nations Treaty. Now that's a state. We're not talking about individuals. So let me see if maybe there's a loophole here, right? Let's see. Article 3. State parties to the treaty shall carry on activities of exploration or use of outer space bodies in accordance with international law, including the Charter of the United Nations. Okay, ooh, they tripping, they tripping. We should be good. We should be good. They're saying connection's bad, but we're good. We're good. See, whenever they start messing up, I'm going in. I'm going in. All right. States. Article 5 states parties in the treaty undertake not to place in orbit around the Earth any nuclear weapons or other kinds of weapons of mass destruction, to install such weapons on celestial bodies or stations such weapons in the outer space of any manner. The moon and other celestial bodies shall be used by all states parties to the treaty exclusively for the peaceful purposes, establishment of military bases, installations, fortifications, and testing of any types of weapons and conduct of military maneuvers on celestial bodies shall be forbidden. Use of military personnel for scientific research and other peaceful purposes shall not be prohibited. The use of any equipment or facility necessary for peaceful exploration of the moon and other celestial bodies shall not be prohibited. Man, I'm about to blow your minds too. In carrying on activities in outer space, that'll be for the flat Earth portion. But in carrying on the activities of outer space and celestial bodies, the astronaut of one state party shall render all possible assistance to an astronaut of another state, i.e., International Space Station, i.e., Russia needs to help United States, United States has to help China, China has to help Africa, Africa needs to help South America, and so on and so forth. State parties to the treaty shall bear international responsibility for national activities in outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, whether such activities are carried on by governmental agencies or by non governmental entities, and for assuring the national activities are carried out in conformity with the provisions set forth in the present treaty. Activity of non governmental entities in outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, shall require authorization. No, you don't. You're stupid. You're stupid. You're dumb. You're dumb. Leave it to this guy. Let's get back to. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. Okay. Um. Let's see here. Okay. Uh. Shall require authorization and continuing supervision by appropriate state party of the treaty. When activities carried on in outer space, including the moon or other celestial bodies by international organization, responsibility for compliance with this treaty shall be borne both of international organization and by states parties. So what does this mean? What does this mean? This activities of the non-governmental entities or NGOs, or I guess you could say people, um, including moon or other celestial bodies, shall require authorization and continuing supervision by the appropriate state party of the treaty. So basically, they're saying that uh, if even though you're not a government amongst yourself or your NGO, you're still per this treaty somehow beholden to get authorization from people that are governments. That's so it's almost like giving yourself power over somebody. Just saying that, and I'm assuming through the threat of some sort of retaliation. Okay. Each state party of the treaty launches object in outer space, including the moon or other celestial bodies in each state from whose territory or facility the object is launched, is internationally liable for the damage to another state party or national jurisdiction if the components of the Earth, airspace, or outer space, including the moon. So if you damage anything while doing a launch, if like the debris falls in China, you're responsible for the damage or anything like that. State party of the treaty whose registry and object launched in outer space is carried and shall retain jurisdiction and control over such object. So if you launch a satellite or something, you retain ownership. The state or the government does not assume ownership over that. Ownership of objects launched in outer space include objects landed or constructed on celestial bodies or the component parts. It's not affected by their presence in outer space or celestial body or their return to Earth. Such objects or components parts found beyond the limits of the state party treaty whose registry they are carried shall be returned to the state party, which shall, upon request, furnish identifying data prior to their return. Such objects and components parts found beyond the limits of the state party treaty of those registry are carried shall be returned to the state. Interesting. And the exploration use of outer space, including the moon, other celestial bodies, shall be guided by principles of cooperation and mutual assistance shall be conducted in outer space. So, I mean, per this treaty of 1967, I'm not done, but hold on. Okay, so you can't just bring extraterrestrial matter to Earth without having it go through the state. So if you're, I don't know, if Elon Musk was to go to Mars and then want to bring back something from Mars, he'd have to go through some sort of authorization and some sort of containment. I think it's illegal, actually. Earth is only introduction of international extraterrestrial matter where necessary shall adopt appropriate measures for this purpose. Peaceful exploration, promote international cooperation, equality. In order to promote international cooperation, peaceful exploration, social bias, Hmm. Huh. So that also means that if Bill Gates was to put those that nano dust in the particles in the Earth's atmosphere or in space, he would own it. Hmm. Or those satellites that would block out the sun, or those nanoparticles, that dust would block out the sun. He would actually still own that. That's interesting. So the governments couldn't even save you once that's in. The treaty shall be open to all states for signature. Any state which does not sign this treaty before its entry into force in accordance uh, paragraph 3 of the article may accede to it at any time. The treaty shall be subject to ratification by signatory states. That would be United Kingdom of Great Britain, North Ireland, the Union of Socialist Republic, and the United States of America, hereby the depository governments. Interesting. So, I mean, basically, per the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, technically, uh, okay. I mean, technically speaking, hmm, technically speaking, a person could own a planet, but that person's planet would need to. Well, I guess technically a person could own a planet per this treaty of 1967 legally because Uzi Vert owning Uzi World is not an actual state or a country unto himself. And because a state or a country or government cannot own a planet, celestial body, or space, they ownership wouldn't transfer from Lil Uzi Vert to the government or whichever government he lives in. So I guess technically a person could own a planet or a celestial body, legally speaking. So there's the answer to that. Let's see here, though. There's got to be some more to this. What a loophole. Let's see. Treaty on Principles of Activity States, agreement to rescue astronauts, international liability of damage caused by space objects, registration of objects launched to space, remote sensing of right, remote sensing of the Earth from outer space, remote sensing, nuclear power sources, activities, particular non-deeds. Um, Pretty much the same thing, just extra things added. Well, you can propose an amendment to this treaty. Any state or party treaty give notice of this withdrawal from the treaty 1 year after the entry into force by written notification. Huh. Wow. Okay. Well, that's he can own a planet. So legally speaking, he can own a planet. So that brings the next question. Um, who do you buy a planet from? You know what I'm saying? Part of what Twisted said makes sense. Um, who who are you? Who is Uzi to be able? Who is Uzi buying a planet from? Who is he buying a planet from? When I think of planet, I think of this guy. This is who I think of. I'm sure somebody's gonna. I'm sure someone is going to make a meme of this. I'm sure someone's gonna make a meme of this. But this reminds me of Frieza. Y'all know who Frieza is? Y'all know who Frieza is? Y'all know who Frieza is? Frieza from Dragon Ball. Y'all don't know who Frieza is. Frieza is a galactic tyrant. Frieza is a racist. He's a genocidal maniac. Uh, Frieza is, well, I would say he's evil. He's definitely a hole. Frieza's horrible, right? Let me see. Hold on, Frieza. Let me see here. How can I make sure y'all understand Frieza? Hold on. To fair use, fair use, fair use. Frieza. Clearly, I'm just putting Frieza. Life of Frieza. Uh, Here we go. This will be good. This will be good. Let me play that. Hold on. I don't know if y'all.
Here we go. It's loading. Frieza is an outer space tyrant. This is planet Vegeta, right? Frieza goes around and he is blowing up, tearing shit up. He's a planet broker. He pretty much goes to planets, wipes off the indigenous populations, commits mass genocide, cleanses the planet, and then sells the planets to the highest bidder. So this is how Frieza does. Now he's part of a lineage. His father's been doing it. Now he's doing it. This is who Lil Uzi Vert is paying. Lil Uzi Vert bought a planet from Frieza.
It's been a long time, King Bashir. It's an honor to have you here, great King Kong. This is my son, Frieza. Meet the Saiyan King. Oh, yes. It's a pleasure to meet you, Lord Frieza. Welcome.
I believe you'll find that the pleasure is all mine.
Anyway, I'll get straight to the point. I'm retiring effective immediately. From this moment on, Frieza will be your commander. In other words, the Cold Force has now become the Frieza Force. Oh, does that mean nothing's changing? The Saiyans will simply continue to serve us by following Frieza's orders. I suppose I should warn you of one difference. You'll find that my son has a short temper and is even more cold-hearted than I am.
Hello, monkeys! I have such high expectations for you. For your sake, I hope you live up to them. To commemorate my rise to power, I brought along new combat items to aid you in your servitude. These devices are called scouters. You'll find they're far more compact and powerful than the sadly outdated surveillance scout shields you've been using until now. They also function as communicators. The displays should be familiar. They show your target's position and battle power, just like the older scope used to. Oh dear. It appears that a number of sailors currently have weapons trained on us. Let's see, the same hiding in that tower has a battle power of 2,000. That's quite an impressive number. I see you get the picture. They're useful, are they not?
Damn.
I'll leave 500 units behind as a gift for your troops. If you don't think that's enough, feel free to complain. I believe they're telling you.
And that's how it goes. That's how it goes. That's what happened. I don't know how Uzi, I don't know how he got in contact with Frieza. I personally, maybe Frieza's good now. I don't know what happened, but he clearly bought Wasp 127B from Frieza, and apparently he got a good deal for it. But yeah, I know that was satire, but the question is, who gives someone the right? Who owns the planet? Okay, here are the implications. Either we have such hubris to think that we as humans can own a planet, can just say this is mine, and we just accept that. I mean, there's no amount of money a person can use to buy a planet, right? There's no amount of money. And who would even acknowledge that? Who would even recognize someone buying a planet? It doesn't make sense. Unless Lil Uzi Vert is trying to tell us that someone does own planets. Is Lil Uzi Vert trying to disclose that there is a actual Frieza, planet broker, alien out there in space that owns planets, and somehow Lil Uzi Vert, somehow this real live action, real life Frieza takes money or consciousness or sacrifices, and that was enough money to buy a planet, a celestial body, whole planet. Is that what he's trying to tell us? Is he trying to tell us he did a deal with Frieza? It sounds like that's what he's trying to say. Because no one in their right mind is going to acknowledge and say that Lil Uzi Vert owns this planet. You can't buy a planet. I mean, per the United Nations treaty, it's not illegal to. A government can't buy a planet. A non-governmental organization can't buy a planet, but a person can technically buy a planet, but it's just almost impossible and unfeasible. So either there's a real life freeze out there, or the vanity of humans to think that they can just claim something to be theirs that's not even, you can't even get to by means of transportation. Those are the two options. The only other third option is that we do have the technology to get to hundreds and thousands of light years away. We have the ability to bend space and time, create wormholes, go to these planets, and thus, if you were able to go to these planets, extract the resources off these planets, and by way of residency, claim a whole entire planet, that's a whole different thing. All three of these potential options, these perspectives, seem insane, seem ludicrous, right? Or are they? I mean, no, they're fucking crazy. But is there truth to any one of these three scenarios? Because it can only be any of these three scenarios. Think about that. But even more so, who is he doing the paperwork with? He didn't say he was doing the paperwork with NASA. He didn't say he was doing the paperwork with any non-governmental entities. Because remember, they can't even own planets. So who is he doing paperwork with? These are questions one has to ask themselves when someone makes a claim like this, or when someone says they're working on something like this. Now, of course, it could be an entire troll, but Lil Uzi Vert spent millions of dollars on diamond implanted in his head. He wants to get Neuralink. He says that he worships the Pale Emperor, whoever that is. I mean, to me, is he buying a planet or is he buying something else? That's the question, right? Now, that's one way of looking at it from a globalist point of view. From a flat Earth point of view, let's look at the. You saw that treaty, right? So that's the treaty that y'all saw. I'm going to show you something else. And this is just let's see here. I'm going to show you something. I got something to show you. We're going to go to the National Science Foundation. I'm going to show you something. I got something to show you. Now, we read what the treaty was for outer space and celestial bodies. Let's look at this Antarctic treaty. Now we're putting on our flat Earth hat, okay? So 12 nations listed in the preamble below signed the Antarctic Treaty on December 1st, 1959 at Washington, D.C. Treaty entered in force June 1961. The 12 signatories became the original 12 consultative nations. April 2010, 17 additional nations, Brazil, Bulgaria, China, Czech Republic, Ecuador, Finland, Germany, India, Italy, Netherlands, Peru, Poland, Republic of Korea, Spain, Sweden, Ukraine, and Uruguay have achieved consultative status by acceding the treaty by conducting substantial scientific research in Antarctica, and Russia carries forward the signatory privileges and responsibilities established by the former Soviet Union. Another 21 nations, Austria, Belarus, Canada, Colombia, Cuba, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Denmark, Estonia, Greece, Guatemala, Europe, Hungary, Malaysia, Monaco, Pakistan, Papua New Guinea, Portugal, Romania, Slavic Republic, Switzerland, Turkey, Venezuela. Are there any African countries? I don't know. These nations agree to abide by the treaty and may attend consultative meetings as observers. The 50 Antarctic Treaty nations represent 2/3 of the human world's population. world's human population. Consultative meetings have been held approximately every other year since the treaty entered into force, but since 1993, they have been held more frequently. Each meeting has generated recommendations regarding operations of the treaty that, when ratified by participating governments, become binding on the parties to the treaty. Additionally, the Antarctic Treaty System has produced agreements of conservation of seals, conservation of living resources, and comprehensive environmental protection. I wonder what they mean by living resources. What follows is a complete text of Antarctic Treaty heading for each article were added to the National Science Foundation. So the government, Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, French Republic, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, Union of South Africa. There's one, but it's funny, it's South Africa. United Kingdom of Britain, North Ireland, Soviet Republic, and United States recognize that it is in the interest of all mankind that Antarctica shall continue forever to be used exclusively for peaceful purposes and shall not become a scene of object of international discord. Sounds a lot like this International Space Treaty, right? But let's continue reading. I'm getting there. Acknowledging the substantial contribution of scientific knowledge resulting from international cooperation and scientific investigation in Antarctica, which is the same exact thing said in the United States Treaties and Principles of Outer Space. Acknowledging, convinced that the establishment of a firm foundation for the continuation and development of such cooperation on the basis of freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica as applied during the International Geophysical Year accords in the interest of science and progress of all mankind, which is interesting. United Nations Treaty and Principle said the exact same thing, didn't it? Exact same thing. Convinced also the treaty ensuring that the use of Antarctica for peaceful purposes only and countenance of international harmony in Antarctica will further purpose the principles embodied in the Charter of the United Nations. Same exact thing said in the United Nations Treaty for Outer Space in 1967. Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purposes only. There shall be prohibited inter alia or any measures of military nature, such as establishment of military bases or fortifications that are carrying military maneuvers, as well as testing of any types of weapons. Exact same thing in the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. The present treaty shall not prevent the use of military personnel or equipment for scientific research of any other peaceful purposes. So scientists only, huh? Freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica and cooperation toward that end, as applied during the International Geophysical Year, shall continue subject to the provisions of the treaty. Plans and results to be exchanged. In order to promote international cooperation, scientific investigation in Antarctica is provided by Article 2. The present treaty or contracting parties agree that the greatest extent feasible and practicable information regarding the plans of scientific programs in Antarctica shall be exchanged to permanent maximum economy and efficiency of operations. Scientific personnel shall exchange in Antarctica between expeditions and stations, and scientific observations and results of Antarctica shall be exchanged and made available. Territorial claims. Nothing contained in the present treaty shall be interpreted as a renunciation of any contracting party's previously asserted rights or claim of territorial sovereignty in Antarctica. The renunciation or diminution by any contracting party of any basis to claim territorial sovereignty in Antarctica, which it may have, whether as a result of its activities or those in Antarctica otherwise, prejudicing the position of the contracting party as regards its recognition or non-recognition of any other state's right or claim on the basis of claim to territorial sovereignty in Antarctica. No acts or activities taking place while the present treaty is in force shall constitute a basis of asserting or supporting or denying a claim to territorial sovereignty in Antarctica. No new claim or enlargement of an existing claim to territorial sovereignty shall be asserted while the present treaty is in force. Okay, so that was a lot of jargon. Let's go through that again. No acts or activities taking place while the present treaty is in force shall constitute a basis for asserting, supporting, or denying a claim of territorial sovereignty. So basically, while this treaty is in force, no one can own Antarctica or claim territory in Antarctica. Prejudicing the position of the contracting party as regards its recognition or non-recognition of any other state's right to claim. A renunciation by contracting party of previously asserted rights or claim nothing contains. So basically, they're saying no one can. There are no territorial claims in Antarctica, which is absolutely the same as the United Nations Treaty and the Principles of Outer Space, if I'm interpreting that right. Nuclear explosion prohibited, or any disposal of radioactive waste is not conducive. You can't do that, which is the same as the United Nations Treaties and Principles for Outer Space. Area covered by treaty shall apply to areas south of 60 south latitude, including all ice shelves, but nothing in the present treaty shall prejudice in any way affect the rights or exercise of the rights of any state under international law with regard to the high seas within that area. Free access for observation and inspection. In order to promote objectives and ensure observation and provision, this treaty is free. Contracting parties whose representatives are entitled to participate in meetings referred to shall have the right to designate observers to carry out any inspection provided by the present article. Article shall have complete freedom to access at any time any and all areas of Antarctica. All areas of Antarctica, including stations, installations, equipment within those areas, and all ships and aircraft at the point of discharging and embarking cargoes, personnel in Antarctica shall be open at all times to inspection by any observers designated in accordance with paragraph 1. In accordance to promote objective, blah, 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 each contracting party whose representatives are entitled to participate in the meetings shall have the right. Okay, so basically what they're saying, this is, you got to read. Anybody that is part of the people that are going to Antarctica to have those yearly or frequent meetings that they have free reign to access any and all of Antarctica, any bases, anything, and observe and inspect. But only the contracting parties that are designated by the treaty. This doesn't mean just any person. It means any person that was invited to the meetings can do so. So not just anybody can go to Antarctica. All areas of Antarctica, including all stations, installation, equipment, or aerial observation may be carried out any time over any and all areas of Antarctica by any of the contracting parties having the right to designate observers. So, aerial observation. That means that Google Earth, with their satellites, has the ability, or any company with satellites would be a party, a contracting party that can look in Antarctica. So you don't have the ability to go and visit Antarctica unless you were invited to the meeting, but somehow Google has a seat at the table. Each contracting party shall at a time when the present treaty enters into force inform other contracting parties thereafter shall give them notice in advance of expeditions to or within Antarctica on the part of ships of nationals or all expeditions in Antarctica organized and proceeding from its territory. So you gotta let someone know if you're gonna go into Antarctica. All stations in Antarctica occupied by its nationals. Any military personnel or equipment intended to be introduced by into Antarctica subject to conditions prescribed in paragraph 2. Personnel under jurisdiction of their own states. In order to facilitate the exercise of functions under the present treaty without prejudice to respect design under scientific personnel exchange, omission. Treaty states meet periodically. Yeah. And every U.S. president, of course, goes to Antarctica. Discourages activities on contrary to the United States charters settlement of disputes, review treaty possible after 30 years, ratification and accession, United States repository. So yeah, so what you read was the treaty for Antarctica is eerily almost one-to-one similar with everything that's in the treaty for outer space. Isn't that interesting? So from a flat Earth point of view, because in flat Earth we don't there's not a understanding of there's no such thing as space, right? There's a belief that the Earth is flat. It's within a firmament dome, right? A firmament dome. Within in the dome, there are different levels of atmosphere, but it's within the firmament dome. So anything outside the firmament would be like your stars, celestial bodies, and stuff like that. And who's to say that those are actual physical things, more so than just energy, right? Or projections from beyond the waters, beyond the firmament. So for Antarctica to have the same sort of treaty, almost one-to-one, it's almost that Antarctica has more of a has more details in it than space, because I guess more people have the ability to get to Antarctica than space, which is true. But I guarantee if you could go to space, you'd see a lot more similarities. But I mean, it was one-to-one. The Antarctic Treaty, the space treaty is pretty much the Antarctic Treaty. So is Antarctica another planet? Is it a celestial body? Is it a space? I mean, it's pretty much looked at as the same. Is Mars not on another planet, but on the same plane? Is Antarctica not on another? I mean, Antarctica is clearly on the plane, right? It's on the plane. But maybe planets are just different places on the plane. I mean, what if you can't get past the dome? And if you can't get past the dome, then that means Mars is either CGI or it's beyond the ice wall. That's from a flat Earth perspective. But if it's beyond the ice wall, then that would portend that all these other planets, celestial bodies or things of that nature, are just other continents that just have not been discovered, or continents beyond the ice wall or the ice ring of Antarctica. So that's from a flat Earth perspective. But either way, it's very fascinating, the idea that someone is saying that they're buying a planet. Who are you buying it from? Are you buying it from Frieza? Are you buying it from other entity? You know, so on and so forth. So let's go into how one would actually. Here's Corey. Corey is really good for this. So someone asked, how much does it cost to buy a planet? You have to define buy in this case. In a typical case, there's a legal right associated with the object, and we call that ownership of the object. It's often allowed that a buyer and seller can get together, and the buyer gives the money to the seller transfers ownership of the object, now the buyer is the owner. Now, as to planets, you have more issues. Who is the seller currently who has ownership of the object? Ownership is merely legally recognized right of one person's preference of what to do with an object to another. If you want to eat a banana and I want to eat the banana, clearly a conflict. Whoever is deemed to be the owner, as between the two of us, gets to eat the banana. Okay, so now who owns the planet? Who would need to know that if your preference for what to do with the planet differs from the preference of what to do with the planet? You want to leave it in the natural state, but I want to build a hotel on it. So we better find out who owns it. Since neither of us have the ability to do anything inconsistent with that planet, ownership does not matter. When it comes to things that can do something with, such as mining on the moon or retrieving or auctioning Apollo equipment from the surface of the moon, ownership does not matter. Ownership does matter, and that is already settled. So basically stated, which is what I said, the only way that one can buy a planet is if someone owns a planet. And the only way you can own a planet is if you have the ability to have dominion over the planet, right? Based off of that, to mine, to get resources, stuff like that. That said, the cost is $5,600 plus local sales tax to purchase any of the outer gas giants. When you send me the money, I'll send you the receipt. Scam, meaning you shouldn't be able to buy it. Just sell stars that are hundreds of millions of light years away. You'll never get to them in your lifetime. So sure, I'll give it to you for like $5. Ryan Payne's answer is right on, but I like to add to it. You cannot buy a star. There are a handful of groups out there that say they can sell you a star, but they cannot. The world recognized body of naming astronomical objects, international blah blah blah, disavows any and all such groups as they state that on their website. Thus, like true love, many others of the best things that come to life and the beauty of the night is not for sale, but is free to all to enjoy. True, the gift of star may open someone's eyes to the beauty of the night. It is indeed worthy goal, but it's not justified deceiving people to believing that the real star names can be bought like any other commodity. Those selling stars are in the business of taking your money. Depending on what you pay them, when you get a nice plaque, a map, a book, or certificate, they promise to publish the name you select in their catalog. However, this catalog is no way official record and not recognized by the IAU or any official body. Basically, if you buy one of these stars, all you're doing is paying someone to enter a name into an entirely unofficial database and give you a certificate and plaque to commemorate the event. So you're basically paying for the pretty trinket with no true value. Such a waste of time and money, and the proof that Phineas T. Barnum was right. There's a sucker born every minute. One person says, you can't buy a planet. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967, which is one of the very few treaties that every country on Earth has signed, forbids anyone from owning outer space body. Besides, if you're buying a moon, asteroid, star, planet, who do you pay the money to? Y'all, you freaked out. And funny, 666 likes, funny. First, someone would need to demonstrate ownership, and no country on the planet will ever recognize that ownership. Exactly. So go ahead and claim that you own Mars and that you want NASA to pay parking fees for the rover. We'll see how well they recognize your claim. I thought the treaty just forbade any government, any government from claiming any celestial object. U.S. Congress even passed legislation indicating companies can own whatever they can extract from space. Damn. So if companies can own things in space, individuals should be able to as well. No government can collect tax on it, though, I suppose, unless it is brought to Earth. The Outer Space Treaty allows you to own things you mine or build on celestial body. You can't own the celestial body itself. So if you have a build a habitat on the moon, it does belong to you, but not the ground it sits on. If you dig up the ice from the deep crater, then the ice belongs to you, but the crater does not. So the U.S. law does not change that. It just clarifies what the international treaty already says. You can own whatever you dig up. We have a good catalog of exoplanets now, and we have these scam companies who will sell you deeds for a plot of land on the moon. Opportunity? I'm going to start selling plots on Nibiru and Planet X because the potential customer base are already extremely gullible. Very, very interesting. Although one can take control of a body, impose your laws on those that visit your outposts, utilize resources there, it would be most cost-effective as the cost could be limited to your actual cost of securing your base, maintaining and enforcing your area of control. So I would estimate a body could be controlled for, say, a few $100 billion. Sure, you could do that, violate a treaty that was signed by all countries in the world. They wouldn't recognize your claim. Well, probably not. And if they wanted to come along and set up a base there, you'd have to resort to violence. That's the only way to prevent them. But communities anywhere other than Earth are very fragile. It would take very little to destroy them. Worse than that, it's very unlikely that the community on another world in the solar system could survive without the frequent shipments of supplies and spare parts from Earth. And if you get into a territorial dispute, you'd find yourself without those supplies and spare, and you'd be in very deep trouble. More likely, a colony would be set up by a country on Earth. In acceptance of Outer Space Treaty, it will remain as a colony for a very long time until eventually they seceded from that country. Consider how Australia came into being. Brits set up colonies there, initially entirely dependent on ships, sailed halfway around the world, and then gradually stood on their own 2 feet and eventually became an independent nation. This pattern is very much a guarantee, but in case we ever do manage to colonize someplace beyond Earth, which I personally doubt will happen on any large scale. So yeah. So if I had $2 quadrillion, I could technically purchase the whole planet, including everything that resides in it, and declare myself the ruler of the entire Earth with succession and being passed on to my heirs next. Come to think about it, it'd be near impossible to purchase the entire Earth, even if the purchaser has quadrillions of dollars. The problem is that as soon as the purchaser starts purchasing things, scarcity starts creating, turns rise up the prices. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it's a scam. Tis a scam. Tis a scam. Can you buy a planet? Should you buy a planet? I mean, yeah. No. So if you, after reading all of that, going through all that, if you still want a planet, you want to buy a planet, here you go. Groupon has a great deal for $15, and you get extra 20% off too. For $15, you can get a deed to own an acre of land in the solar system's fourth planet. Package includes a deed, map of the location of your land, and Mars info in an ebook. So if everything you learned today has got you ready to make a purchase, you can buy Mars right there. I'll leave that link in the description. Or look at this one, buy land on Mars, 24 to what a fucking scam. Wow, $24.99 to $499. Buy land on Mars. Buy land on Mars. We're the only company with a filed claim of ownership for the land on Mars. Dennis Hope filed the claim and gave notice to the United Nations in 1980. Damn. And customers have been able to buy land on Mars ever since. Who doesn't love Mars? Elon Musk really started a whole new fascination with the red planet. Buying land. You can buy land on Mercury. All the planets, so we'll sell acres on Mars and buy land on the moon. Our founder, Dennis Hope. So Dennis Hope, man, he did it. So buy land on planet Venus. So apparently he owns this. Pluto. Buy Pluto in its entirety for just $250,000. That's a steal, though. Someone hit Future or Uzi. Uzi probably buy Pluto. Uzi or Future. He's always talking about Pluto. Buy Pluto. But this right here for $22.99. You can get yourself an extraterrestrial passport and nationality. Buy your extraterrestrial passport here. Yeah, extraterrestrial nationality, become a true alien. All your off-planet use expires 25 years after issue date. Make great add-on to your land purchase. This is the Lunar Embassy of 1980 Lunar Embassy. Lethal FAQ. Galactic government. Current space law. Copycat companies. I'll leave a link in the description. Hold on. Buy planets. Unbelievable but true. You can buy land on Moon, Mars, or Venus. Become a big landowner. 100 acres in space with a title deed. Since 1999, it's been possible to acquire lunar property and become a proud landowner on the moon. Our community already consists of 50,000 lunar landowners, most spectacular properties of our time. To the moon and perhaps beyond is a dream that the far-traveling neighbors on the moon. How can one purchase a plot of land on the planet's moon? The so-called 1967. They're trying to debunk the treaty. The so-called Outer Space Treaty of the United States set up laws to explore and use space as celestial bodies. The treaty regulates the use of the moon. Furthermore, the framework for science can benefit you. However, when drafting contract, one of the thinking governments, not of companies or private persons. The legal loophole offered the opportunity to acquire extraterrestrial properties. So, I mean, so yes, it is a loophole. A person can technically own it, but who are you buying it from? You know what I'm saying? Unless you're trying to say aliens, but then who gave aliens ownership? You know, aliens just because they can. Just because I can go to a drive-thru and get you McDonald's doesn't mean I own McDonald's. That's wild. And yeah, I mean, Groupon selling land on Mars. Is this for real? Yes. Are you for real? So that's pretty much it. I think I've got it ad nauseum. So yes, the answer to the live stream, Lil Uzi Vert bought Uzi World Wasp 127B, or is in the process of buying it. Technically, a private person can buy a planet. But the one question that isn't answered, who are you buying the planet from? And if you listen to Lil Uzi Vert's music, the answer should be obvious. As always, this is Real Talk, Real People. This was a fun one, and I'm gonna go work out. Everybody stay safe. Have fun. This is crazy. You learn something new every day. All links will be in the description once this is over, and timestamp for about 9 minutes and 15 seconds for those that just want to get to it. As always, this has been Real Talk, Real People. Keep it real, and go buy you a planet. Go hit up Frieza. Frieza got them deals. Frieza got them deals. And all these planets, we're gonna own all these planets. We're gonna own all these planets. Peace.